do you have something you want to say to open the show?
Yes, I'm going to use my voice.
Good job.
That you're going to say, though.
No, though I am very tired.
I am too.
But be very thankful for Thanksgiving is next week.
No, it's not.
Oh, I forgot.
Hi. Welcome to Rocket Anywhere. The podcast where I can't remember how to open a show and I'm tired.
Yes. Your voice just went like a roller coaster. You're like, welcome to Rocket Anywhere. And a vocal roller coaster. Okay, we have a lot of follow-up this week, so I'm going to try to go really fast with this. When I said this thing last week about I thought that all sewage went to Australia, I was like, I didn't know actually where sewage went. Obviously, I should have known this because down the street from our house, they're doing a lot of construction on redoing all the pipeline and stuff. So, sewage goes through pipes underneath your home and streets and stuff and goes to a water refinement center where the water goes through hundreds of layers of filters and cleaning things that clean the water. And ultimately, don't be grossed out, they ultimately get pumped back into the water system or into local rivers and lakes.
Gordon, that is what I have told you since I was 4 years old, and you and our dad didn't believe you. Me. Didn't believe me.
Didn't believe you and me and everyone. Anyway, so please don't be grossed out that you're drinking the water that you know was in the toilet.
You're like, and then you just give it away.
Yeah, if you want to see a video on that, go to rta.space/17, and there'll be a link there called Where Does Your Sewage Go? Okay, why are water burgers shaped like triangles? If you're not from Texas or the South, then you don't know that there's this very popular hamburger chain, very tasty too, called Whataburger. We call it Waterburger.
You call it.
Most people call it Waterburger, but the main original pronunciation is what a burger, but it's all crunched together in one word. Anyway, so most of them used to be shaped like triangles, and we were talking about how that might be the safest place to go. Well, it says here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. When automobiles came along, they changed the equation. This is an excerpt from an article. A small sign like the one that was originally used by Whataburgers was too small for drivers to see. Dobson, the guy who invented the Whataburger, could have built a bigger sign, but he had a better idea. He decided to use the building as itself would act as a sign. And it was meant not to be a triangle. It was originally intended to be shaped like the letter A. Okay, and if you want an article on that, if you want to read more about that, links in the show notes as well. Okay, so also, we asked what the definition of fortnight is. So I realized that this show it's better to call this, instead of calling this a bi-weekly show, this is better called a fortnightly show. Because fortnightly means a space of 14 nights and days, aka 2 weeks. So this is a fortnightly show. Okay.
Really?
Yep. Okay. So we were also talking about, this is a lot of follow-up, we have like 4 more things left, about pseudonyms, which is what it means like when you're an anonymous author person. So it's pronounced, like I said, pseudonym, but it's spelled P-S-E-U-D-O-N-Y-M. Okay, next. It also means fictitious name, a fictitious name used by an author to conceal his or her identity. And also, Sofia asked, what's smaller than a millisecond? Well, I have it. A microsecond, which is 1,000 times smaller than a millisecond. Then there's a nanosecond, which is a millionth of a millisecond. And then there's a picosecond, which is 1/billionth of a millisecond, which is 1/trillionth of a second. This is the shortest amount of time that is currently accurately measurable.
No. The shortest amount of time is no time.
Last one, you asked if .lit was available.
You should see my face right now.
You should always be seeing her face right now.
Yes.
And finally, last piece of follow-up, Sofia was talking about how I said how SofiaGarcia.com was like $1,000. And then she asked if Sofia.lit is available. Sadly, .lit is not an option. So I looked into the records, and it turns out that someone is currently in the process of making .lit available. So you'll be able to buy Sofia Garcia .lit or Sofia .lit for like $12.
Okay, good.
You have your eye on it. Okay, thought of the week. And this is a little school stuff. So yeah, it says, in a school, eating lunch alone is considered uncool and can result in bullying. In a busy... Yes.
You're eating lunch alone, but then it can result in bullying.
Yeah.
You can't get bullied if you're alone.
I don't know. It says, as an adult in a busy office, eating lunch alone and undisturbed is considered a luxury. So I am very luxurious in the fact that I eat lunch alone. Mm-hmm.
You don't eat lunch alone.
Well, I eat it with a whole group of people called my family.
You eat lunch with me.
Uh-huh. Oh, bullying's better than that. Okay,
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. This week's public service announcement, it says, trigger warning, sound the siren, trigger warning. Suicide is one of the few situations where procrastination saves lives.
Procrastination?
Procrastination.
Procrastination, not procrastination.
Yes, that means putting something off. I procrastinate on getting this podcast out until Friday night.
Not cast.
I cast my procrastination. Okay, so yeah. Okay, we're going to put this a little early to let people know. Please go take our survey. I know you've been hearing this for the past few weeks. I'm just going to make it short and simple. Take our survey,
Can you just be quiet this time?
/survey, rta.space/survey. One more time, rta.space/survey. And that's all. Next.
You're not loud anymore.
I'm very loud. Okay, Sophia, pull your jokes out because it's time for everyone's favorite segment, Joke of the Fortnight.
Story of the week. Or fortnight or whatever. A teacher was giving a math lesson and asked one of her students, if you had $1 and you asked your father for another, how many dollars would you have? One student said $1. Not quite, the teacher said. Sounds like you don't know your arithmetic. No, the boy replied, you just don't know my father.
Okay, I'll tell one and then we can go back to you. Mine's really short. My wedding was so emotional. Even the cake was in tears. Okay. I'll tell one more. It says, did you hear about the creator of the knock knock joke? He won the Nobel Prize.
Okay. Teacher says, if I gave you 2 cats, then another 2 cats, then another 2 cats, how many cats would you have? 7, says Johnny. Teacher says, no. Listen carefully. If I gave you 2 cats, then another 2 cats, then another 2 cats, how many cats would you have? 7. Let's try it another way. If I give you 2 apples, then another 2 apples, then another 2 apples, how many apples would you have? 6. Good. Now if I gave you 2 cats, then another 2 cats, then another 2 cats, how many cats would you have? 7. Johnny, how on earth would you get 7? Well, teacher, I already have 1 cat.
Wow, that's great.
What's Darth Vader's favorite chocolate?
Dark chocolate. Okay.
If Apple made a car, would it have windows?
No, because Apple cars don't run Windows. Okay, I have 2 more jokes. This one's funny. Did you hear about the kidnapping at school?
No.
It's okay, he woke up.
Oh.
Now here's a relevant joke. I'm going to try to put one relevant pop culture joke into every one. Here's one. It says, my friend asked me if I wanted to... Okay, let me preface this first. Yesterday, as of this recording, was November 4th, which means the movie Doctor Strange came out. So, here's the joke. It says, my friend asked me if I wanted to see Doctor Strange. I declined, because I have Stranger Things to watch. Netflix people will be laughing so hard right now. And if you're not laughing, it's because it's time for Word of the Day with logophobia. That means an obsessive fear of words. Okay, now I'm going to tell you a story from my public school years. Like, I'm an old person here.
Public school years?
My public school years, yes, that's it. So, I'm going to be telling my .com and my .org story. So, I used to be in tag team at a public school.
Yeah, and I was never accepted. Because that was too crazy.
So the tag teacher always told me this. Now, if you're a technology person, you might want to. If you're not a technology person, you might just want to skip to the next chapter because this is not going to be interesting to you. But here's what they told me. They told me that .com and They told me this is what they told me about domains. So, if you saw a website that had .com, according to them, a .com website meant that your website had some sort of video on it. According to them, okay? They also told me that a .org website would only have text on it. Okay? Now that I'm older and I run a business here and I know this type of stuff, I'm realizing how wrong these people were, okay? Because there's .com, there's .org, there's .net, there's .ninja, there's .pizza, there's .co,
There's .me.
Yes, there's a .me, there's a .us, there's a .uk. You can get all sorts of stuff. Like for us, we have RTA.space. Okay? You can have all sorts of stuff, and that doesn't necessarily mean that there's some piece of content on your website. Like Google has google.com. If you try to go to google.net, it'll work. Google.org works. Actually, if you try to go to google.org, it'll take you to Google's nonprofit page. But google.com is like the universal thing. So, in the end, never trust what they teach you in public school about domain management and especially about DNS settings. There you go. There's my story time. Today I learned that the first Sherlock Holmes book, A Study in Scarlet, was the first work of fiction to ever mention a magnifying glass being used as an investigative tool, and is the reason that why we still connect this item with detectives today. So, Sherlock Holmes was the person who invented the magnifying glass. The stereotype we see of every single American detective. Okay, Sofia's going to start to get talking a lot now after this advertisement and break. Today we're brought to you by listeners like you who rate and review us on iTunes. I've said it once, I say it again. Review us on iTunes. It helps the show out, helps us move up the little charts.
Okay, I have a story.
Moves up to the top, so if you can tell a story after this advertisement break. If you want to hear that story, give us 5 stars. Yes, that's right. Be thankful. Thanksgiving time's here almost when you're hearing this. So yeah, give us a star rating. You can go to rta.space/iTunes and it'll take you straight to the iTunes page where you can review us. You don't have to write a review, just give us little stars. Choose what you want.
This is my story, The Sticks of Truth. Long ago in India, judges traveled from village to village. One day a judge stopped at an inn to rest, but the innkeeper was very upset. Someone had just that day stolen his daughter's gold ring. The judge told him not to worry and had all the guests gather so that he could question them. When he could not figure out from their answers who the thief was, the judge decided to use some old magic. He told them all he was going to use the sticks of truth. These are magic sticks, he explained, that will catch the thief. He gave each guest a stick to keep under their bed during the night. The stick belonging to the thief will grow 2 inches during the night. At breakfast, we will all compare sticks, and the longest stick will be the thief's. The next morning, the judge had all the guests come by his table and hold their sticks up next to his to see if they had grown. But one after another, they were all the same. None of them had grown any longer. Then suddenly the judge called, "This is the thief. Her stick is shorter than all the rest." Once caught, the woman confessed, and the ring was returned. But all the guests were confused about the sticks of truth. The judge had said that the longest stick would be the thief's, but instead it had been the shortest stick. Why?
Maybe none of them, I don't know. Explain.
None of the sticks were magical. The only one to worry about being caught was a thief. So she had cut off 2 inches of her stick during the night in effort to hide its growth. But since the stick weren't magical, her stick ended up only shorter.
That's good. And what is that from, Sophia? So everyone can go buy it.
Stories to Solve. Folktales from around the world. Told by George Shannon. Illustrated by Peter Siss.
Okay, and you'll be guaranteed to hear some of that on next week's show. And why next week and not fortnight, we'll tell you about that in announcements. But now, topics. So, is it right to tell people things in public? For example, someone told me, well, you have broccoli in your teeth. Okay, is it right to tell people, like, your shoelace is coming undone? Like, if I most likely know, and I'm not going to fix it because I'm too lazy to fix it. So what do you have to say about that, Sophia?
I don't. It depends, like, on how the person is.
How they react, because, like, so one time at Walmart, I've told this story many times before, there was this lady in line, and she put items on our side. So, you put those little plastic dividers on the rolling thing, and she put some of her items on our side instead of on her side. And so I started moving the items to her side, and she yelled at me, like, you put those down. And I'm jumping, I'm all scared, and I go hide underneath the conveyor belt. But, like, that's why I usually don't tell people anything. Also, because I'm not going to tell them anyway. So, what do you have to say about that?
Wait, I don't get it. Why were you putting stuff on the thing?
No, the lady had put the bar in the wrong position and had put the bar where it looked like some of her items were a part of our items on the conveyor belt.
Oh, okay.
So is it right to tell people things like that? Like, should I have done it for him, or should I have told him? Because the main question is it right to tell people things in public?
It's better to text them.
But it's people you don't know. Like, you're at a store.
No, it's like you want to tell them that you have their groceries, and so you're like, "What's your number?" So you can get their number and then tell them that you have their groceries.
Except you're that guy at the state fair who had his Instagram on his T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, follow me.
I really wondered if that was actually his Instagram.
People aren't gonna put some random thing there. So another thing is, like, if you're in, like, some sort of playground and a person's child is, like, run off and fallen or something, and the person's on their phone on Facebook saying, like, having a great time, is it right to tell that person that their child has fallen? Because doesn't it look like you did the thing to the child?
Yeah.
That's why I don't say it. Because back in our day when we were kids, we could say it and we could tell them and they would trust you. Nowadays, they don't trust you anything. It would be like, oh, someone robbed a bank. You're under arrest. You robbed it. And, like, you can't even say anything. They'll blame you for it. Okay? So I guess what we can deduct from this is, most of the time, don't tell anybody things in public, I guess. I guess that's the best thing to do. But here's the second topic under that is, what about crying publicly? You heard me right. Crying in public.
Because it's like nobody even knows you anyway.
Unless you're famous and you have a podcast.
Well, you aren't.
Uh-huh. Oh, yes. Hello, listener who we saw at the state fair. Yes. Working at the Tempur-Pedic booth. Hello.
What listener?
You know who you are. You said hello to me, and I was embarrassed, and I ran away. That's how I am. If you see me in real life, those two people who saw me at Costco the other day and said hi, thank you for listening to the show. I just didn't say anything. And don't ever ask me to sign an autograph for you, because I'm not. Okay, that's the best thing I can do for you. But as for crying publicly, how many times have you cried in public?
Me?
Uh-huh.
I don't cry. I have runny eyes.
That's my runny eyes and nose, like, just
Okay,
it's
wait,
allergies.
Are you saying like real crying or like crying that you're laughing so hard?
Real crying.
Oh, like 0.
I've done it twice. Once was because I think I was at some funeral. I was passing some funeral. It was not there for me. I'm not at my own funeral. No, I was passing it, and I was just, it's touching music. And I started crying there, sitting, waiting outside for someone to come out of the bathroom. Like, I think I was waiting for Sofia or her mom to come out of the bathroom and sitting there crying. Okay. And I think the only other time I cried in public is, when I was little. Yeah. I mean, it's multiple times. Cry in public.
Yeah.
I can guarantee that everybody who is listening to this show has cried in public. I can guarantee it. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
For that lollipop that you dropped, for that piece of candy you didn't get. Okay, it's time for announcements here. Next week, instead of being a fortnightly show for the month of November, this show is coming out. Let me make sure about this. This episode of Rocket to Anywhere, episode 17 that you're listening to, will be coming out on the 12th of November. Exactly next week on November 19th, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, we will have a huge Thanksgiving episode coming out for you. An action-packed, maybe 40 to 50 minute long episode. All sorts of Thanksgiving related themes, another story from Sofia from her book, Thanksgiving related jokes. All of that will be on next week's big Thanksgiving special. So be sure to subscribe or share the link to the show so people can subscribe. It'll be great to listen to on your travels to your grandparents' house, your relatives' houses, wherever you're going, or if you're just staying at home like us, something to listen to while you're cooking the turkey or whatever you're doing. If you're vegetarian, while you're making your tofu or something.
Goodbye.
I don't know what you vegetarians eat. I don't know how you do it. It's the reason why those dinosaurs died. Okay.
Goodbye.
Okay. I'm not suggesting anything here. The views of the hosts of this podcast do not necessarily represent the views of Melted Chocolate Media. Also, donate to Sofia's GoFundMe. We said this last time and none of you donated. This guarantees that we know that all of your children...
Goodbye, they don't have to because they probably don't even get paid.
Yeah, you don't have to donate. We don't get paid for this podcast either. So, yeah. But if you have parents and you happen to have a little bit of extra money laying around...
If you have parents, if you're alive, you have parents.
Yes. Okay, don't start crying, people. Okay, anyway, also, show notes at the newly improved and redesigned rta.space. And this episode will be at rta.space/17. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to review the show on iTunes. Also, share the show with your friends, with your family, with your loved ones, with your enemies. Get them to laugh, and then they'll be vulnerable. That's all for today. That's all I gotta say. This is a rhyme. See you next time. Rocket to Anywhere is edited by Corbin Garcia. It is executive produced by Rafael Garcia, and music is by Potting to Bear. Stories and jokes originate from the r/dad jokes, writing prompts, jokes, and funny subreddits. Some new information from QZ.com. Learn more about Rocket to Anywhere at rta.space. This is a production of Melted Chocolate Media. Content worth trying. Next week on the show, we have a big Thanksgiving special. Be sure to subscribe while you eat that turkey, or while you're shopping, or whatever you're doing. Don't forget the flour.